What's up everybody and welcome back to the channel. So it's finally time to compare the Samsung Q995F or the Q990F with my Sonos setup. So the Sonos setup that I have is the Sonos Arc, two Sonos Sub-Gen 3s, two Era 300s as surround speakers and two 5s as surround speakers as well. So that's the setup I have, but we're going to use the Arc, one sub with my Era 300s in today's comparison video. And I think that's a fair comparison because the Sonos Era 100 doesn't have up-firing speakers, so I think that's the best comparison to do is with the Era 300s, which have the up-firing speakers, but they don't have the front drivers turned on. So it's gonna be not totally fair, but that's the setup that we're gonna use in today's comparison. And by the way, if you see the screen next to me, I'm just going to show you something that I forgot to turn off yesterday in yesterday's test video number 2 for the Samsung Q995F or Q990F. If you go to advanced settings, I had the voice enhancement on. Once you turn that off, the surround speakers get much more sound out of them, and it's much more clear sound from the surround speakers. Because with voice enhancement, they just focus so much from the voices in the speeches and dialogues that you're watching, that's coming from the front, that somehow the surround speakers gets a little dim, and the power from them or the sound from them isn't quite nice as with the voice enhancement off. So just in case you guys wanted that to know that. And the settings that I'm trying to do is gonna be as fair as possible because I max out my settings with the Sonos setup. If you guys have been following me on my channel, you know that I do overkill settings, and most people like them, some people don't, but I think those settings is the best settings that I use for the living room or the setup that I use. So I've tried to make this Space Fit Sound Pro to work. I cannot turn it on. I even use the remote control. You're supposed to press the settings and it shows on the soundbar to turn on. You just press that and you press upwards and you're supposed to turn on this Space Fit Sound Pro on, but I cannot make it work. I don't know what's wrong. I don't know if you need a Samsung TV to make that work. I've tried to change the settings on my TV and all that stuff. I cannot turn on Space Fit Sound Pro. I was able to turn it on last year with the Samsung Q995D that I tested out, but this year I cannot make it work. So we're just gonna skip that for this test. So guys, the settings we're gonna use is surround mode. The sound mode is on surround. Bass is on +6. We got treble on +2. Pretty much the same that we use on the Sonos Arc. So +6, +2. Like I said, Space Fit Sound Pro is gonna be, I don't know how to turn that on. We got the woofer is on +6. And rear surround speakers on rear, yes. And then we got bass enhancement. So that's the settings that we're gonna use versus my Sonos setup. When we go into my Sonos setup, I'm gonna show you the settings that I use there. But this is the settings that we're gonna use for the Samsung Q995F. Let's go. So guys, that was the first video test. We're gonna do a second video test, and I just wanna see in the second video test how loud the Samsung can get without any distortion. So we're gonna push it up. So if you have high volume, so you have headphones on, I'm just giving you a heads up. I wanna see how loud, and I wanna see at what volume the Samsung gets a little bit of distortion or whatever that is, if it gets it. So we're gonna push it up, push it up, push it up. Because with the Sonos setup, I'm going to show you that later, you can have it at 80, 90. I have not tried it above 90, but I guess that you can get it to 100 without any distortion, and you still get clear and really nice sound coming off every speaker that you have. So from the front ARC Era 300s and the subs, it's still amazing at those volumes. So I want to see if that's the same with Samsung's this year, because last year I tried it out, and at volumes at 55, 60, you kind of get some distortion and some of those stuff with the Samsung from last year. So we're gonna see if that has improved in this year's as well. So just a heads up, we're gonna push it until it's I feel like that's the limit, but we're gonna see what the limit is. So keep that in mind. Let's go.
Come here. Yeah.
So guys, that was the Samsung Q995F or Q990F for some of you guys. Let me just say it like this: whatever they did with the soundbar and the sub itself is definitely an upgrade from last year's, because last year I even mentioned that in my video that I did during Black Friday when I tested out the Q990D. Once you push it up above 50, 60, you get a little bit of distortion, which I didn't like. But this year I pushed it to 90, and man, the sound was incredible, man. And the bass, let me say that the bass is definitely an upgrade from last year. I even tried the last, I don't know if, yes, I think I tried it out in different position with last year's sub from the Q990D, but even though I can honestly tell that this dual active subwoofer that they released is an amazing sub. It's definitely an upgrade from last year. I just hope that Samsung makes an update so we can dual sub this whole setup. 2 subs would be amazing to try out with this Samsung Q995F, because 1 sub already is amazing, and I know that there are a lot of bass heads like me that would really love for this setup or for Samsung to release an update so we can dual sub it, and they would sell their subs individually, so we can really try something like that out. I would also like for Samsung to update the surround speakers a little bit, make them a little bigger, and that would be also amazing, because the surround speakers are really great now. You can hear there are sound coming from the front, side, and a firing, so you got 3 different sounds coming from 3 different places, which you can't with either the Era 100. They only got front drivers, or the Era 300 that's only active with the side speakers and the firing speakers, not the front drivers. But if Samsung does make some new surround speakers, I would really like to see this a little bit bigger, but more sound coming out of it. That would be amazing. But I think this setup, for the price that they are at, and I know that during Black Friday they are at around, what is it, $1,000 was the Samsung Q995D last year. So if this drops down to $1,000 again, I will definitely buy this setup. Maybe I will put it in my bedroom or something like that, because this setup is truly amazing. And if Samsung is listening, I would really like for a dual sub, like I do with my Samsung. Or maybe I will even, let me just set up my Sonos system back again, and let's see how that sounds. Let's go. So guys, let me just show you guys the settings that I'm gonna use for my ARC Era 300s and sub. We got equalizer on +6 and treble on +2. We got loudness on, as you can see. Also we got loudness on, and then we got surround is gonna be +7. This is something that you cannot change for the Samsung, but you can change the level of surrounds that you want out, which I'm gonna have on +7. And we got the sub audio on +4. We're gonna push it up to +6. We're gonna have pretty much the same. The difference is that the Samsung one had bass enhancement, but we're gonna just push it up to +6 and see what that sounds like. And then we got height for the channels, which we're gonna have on +7. This is not something that you can change on the Samsung either. So yeah, that's the settings that we're gonna use for my ARC Era 300s and the sub. Let's go. So guys, same thing as we did with the Samsung. We're gonna push it up to 90 to 100 and see how that sounds. So if you have headphones on, or if you have your speakers on high volumes, turn them down, because we're gonna max the Sonos speakers out. Let's go. That was my Sonos Arc Era 300s and the Sonos Sub Gen 3. Man, I love the new position of my sub, I will tell you that. And I want to thank you guys for pointing that out in my first video with the Samsung Q995, because I don't know why I forgot about that. The different room have different acoustics and you have to change your setup, you have to redo everything. I just thought that this living room was pretty much the same as the last living room that I have, but I was totally wrong. But I will definitely try this position, and my second sub is right here. So I have them diagonal to each other, and I'm gonna try that out later on tonight to see how that feels like. But yeah, that's gonna be another video maybe. So Sonos versus Samsung, right? I don't know if you guys could hear that, but I think you can hear that through the microphone on the camera. But the clarity of the Sonos speakers is a totally different level. I don't know how Sonos does that, and that's probably why their things cost. Like this setup, the Sonos Arc Era 300s and one Sub Gen 3 cost me back then as much as the new Arc Ultra and Sub Gen 4 cost. So you get one Sonos Arc Ultra, two Era 300s, and one Sub Gen 4 for around 2,600, right? That's the price for that setup. So that's $1,000 more than my Samsung setup, the Samsung Q995F. And the clarity you get from Sonos speakers, now just keep that in mind. Keep in mind that I don't have the Arc Ultra to show you guys how that sounds compared to the Samsung, but hopefully I will retry the Sonos Arc Ultra really soon. But the Sonos Arc Era 300s and one Sub Gen 3 is an amazing setup still, and it still sounds amazing. Now, as you can see, this is the first time ever I have pushed it to volumes 100, okay? This is the first time ever. I have never pushed it above, I think 85 or maybe 90 was max that I've tried out before. I even tried it out once in my earlier videos. I think it was some of my first videos that I did that I tried it out on volume 80. But this time I tried it on volume 100, and at volume 100 you can still hear the clarity of the sound from the Sonos speakers, and that's why they cost like they do as well, right? The Samsung Q995F compared to my Sonos setup that I tried out right now is $1,000 cheaper, and it still sounds amazing, the Samsung one. I'm not saying it sounds bad, but there was some difference in the clarity of the sound from the Sonos speakers that Samsung haven't quite reached yet with their soundbar. The bass still needs some fixes, as you could. I don't know if you could feel that. Hopefully you can feel that, but I could feel it. The Sonos sub is something that Sonos has done perfectly. Like the Sonos Sub Gen 3 that I have, even the Sub Gen 4 that I tried out, there is not much difference between those two subs, but the Sonos sub is something that Sonos has done so perfect. And even the first time I tried it out, I was amazed by their sub. The speakers itself, they sound amazing, but there's something about the Sonos sub that is so perfect and so well balanced with their bass that I freaking love their sub. You just have to try them out. You just have to try them out by yourself to really understand what I'm saying when I'm saying that for this price that Sonos have, I kind of understand them, but sometimes you just pay for the brand. But when it comes to their sub and the bass from their sub, they have done it perfectly. Like there's not just vibrations or shakes. You can hear shakes from the windows. The whole vibration shakes, and you can feel it underneath you. You can feel it from the sides. You can feel it from everywhere, not just from one place. That's what a sub is supposed to do, right? So that is something that Sonos has perfected, and I respect Sonos for doing something as good as their Sonos sub. It is that good. I will tell you that the Samsung Q995F have a great sub this year, but it is nowhere near what the Sonos sub can do. I'm just gonna be totally honest about that part, because they need like I said, I know that Samsung can push their sub a little bit more with some firmware updates, and I hope they do that, because I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna return my Samsung one, the Samsung Q995F, and I'm gonna retry it, and probably I'm gonna rebuy it during Black Friday when it is a little bit cheaper. And if they have done something good with their sub by then, I will definitely keep the Q995F, definitely. And I'm not saying it's gonna replace my Sonos speakers, most definitely not, but I am definitely gonna keep it, because for around $1,000 and the sound that it produces, it doesn't get better than that. The Samsung Q995F, and we got the JBL Bar 1300 that I tried out. The JBL Bar 1300, the sub was amazing. Okay, that was the amazing part of that whole setup. The soundbar was, it needed some fixes, and I know that JBL can fix those things that I was talking about with the JBL Bar 1300. But I think that JBL 1300 sub was really, really good. Like almost Sonos sub good, but not quite there, but it is. If you guys have any JBL speakers, you know that JBL is pretty much on top with the other brands when it comes to bass, so they know what they're doing, but it needed a little bit more, but the bass was still amazing. The bass from the JBL Bar 1300 was at the same level as the Samsung Q995F is, that I tried out now with a couple of tests. So that is how good the sub was from JBL Bar 1300. Guys, comment if you got some replacement for your current speakers that you have right now. If it's gonna be Sonos, if it's gonna be Samsung, if it's gonna be Sony or JBL, I don't know. Comment if you're gonna replace it with any of the speakers that I have tried out in the past few days or past few months. I would really like to know which ones you like. Like, I have people from JBL Bar 1300 videos, I have people from my Samsung Q995D videos probably, and new, and most of you guys are probably Sonos viewers, and because Sonos has been the speakers that I've been talking about mostly, because I am just loving Sonos. And even though I'm a Sonos fanboy, I am still as honest as I can with these other brands. You guys saw my Q995D video. I was totally honest about that, how good that setup was. This year is even better with some small features fixed. Just Samsung needs to do that dual sub, and I will hopefully retry it if they ever do. But we're gonna retry it again during Black Friday when I buy it again, if it's around $1,000, of course. So yeah, guys, if you have any, I think I will try to get my hands on some Sony Bar 9s or whatever. I think someone mentioned that in some of my other videos. If you guys are interested in me trying any soundbar out or any system out from any brands out there, comment about what you want me to try out, and I will probably get my hands on it and we will try it out on this channel, because I don't think there are many YouTubers out there that do actual live video tests for you guys, so you guys can somehow hear what these soundbars do when it comes to sound and power. So yeah. So hey guys, comment, like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.